My ex-new girlfriend tried to blackmail me. Now he's telling everyone I'm obsessed with them. I am a 30-year-old man, and the first time she said the word blackmail, she made it sound like a favor. It was a Tuesday, late, the kind of hour where apartment hallways feel like hotel corridors, and your phone screen is a room by itself. A notification slid over my lock screen from an unknown number. Hi Adam, this is Sienna, Luke's girlfriend. We need to talk before this becomes messy. I stared at the name, Sienna. 2 months before, I'd seen her once across a bar, glossy hair, a laugh that made heads tilt, her hand laced with my ex-boyfriend's, Luke's. We'd ended things 8 months earlier, as clean as people can when every drawer still smells like the other person. We divided furniture like diplomats. He kept the sofa, I kept the coffee table. The last box of my stuff was in his storage cage in the basement of his building, and he'd texted the day before, swing by Wednesday after 7. Concierge knows. I opened the message. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, before you come, I need you to sign a short note, saying you won't contact Luke again, and you'll delete the old voicemails. If you don't, I'll have to send some things to your work. No one wants that. My chest went cold and hot at once. I typed, hi, I don't know you, and no. I deleted, no, typed, why, deleted that too, and finally sent, that's not how this works. She replied instantly, as if she'd been waiting with her finger poised. Adam, I'm being reasonable. A woman reached out to me from your office on Instagram asking if it's true you're still showing up. Obsessed was her word. I told her I'd handle it privately. Help me help you. I pictured Luke's building lobby, and the concierge's polite nods. Remembered the van I'd rented for the move out months ago and how I'd cried, on the second trip between floors, not from sadness, just a kind of exhausted relief that hurt like a bruise you forgot about until someone presses it. I hadn't shown up. I'd scheduled. I'd texted. I had receipts. Do not contact my work, I typed. If you have a concern, take it up with Luke. A bubble popped up and then a photo arrived. A screenshot of my old voicemail to Luke from 3 months after the breakup. I could see the waveform, the timestamp, my voice transcribed beneath by the carrier's auto text. I'm on your street. I don't want anything. I just need to return the spare key. Please. Sienna's caption, looks like showing up to me. That was to drop the key at the desk. He asked me to. I wrote. Then this should be easy, she replied. Sign and delete. Otherwise, I email HR and your building manager and your volunteer coordinator at the youth center. People love safety language. Harassment, boundary, concern. Those unlock doors. My left hand had started to shake. I set the phone on the counter and looked at it, like a thing that might bite. The kettle clicked off behind me. I poured water over a tea bag, and watched brown spread through the mug like weather. Luke had always been allergic to conflict. In our first year together, he'd say, can we just be soft about this? When I brought up money or the way he'd or SVP, yes to commitments I didn't have energy for. When we broke up, a slow, tired decision after 2 years of trying to turn roommates back into lovers, he'd hugged me in the half-empty living room and said, I want us to be friends. I said, maybe later. He said, don't be dramatic, and kissed my hair like that erased everything that needed erasing. 3 weeks after he met Sienna, he was posting photos of their Sunday pancakes, the caption honey sweet. I muted him because the pictures made my chest feel like it had been wrapped too tight. I texted my sister, Jenna, do you have 10 minutes? She called immediately. Her voice is my emergency blanket. What happened? I just got a message from Luke's girlfriend. She wants me to sign a no contact thing and delete old voicemails. She said she'll email HR if I don't. She used the word blackmail without using it. Send me screenshots, she said, turning into the version of herself who can organize chaos with bullet points. And breathe. I sent them. She texted back, this is extortion adjacent. Don't sign anything. Keep everything. Sienna medged again, as if reading over my shoulder. Consider this your chance to choose the easy path. I don't want to be the bad guy. People who are about to be the bad guy love to let you choose the weapon. I typed, communicate through Luke. Do not contact me again. She wrote, then consider this my courtesy heads up. By tomorrow at 10 a.m. I send the email. I didn't sleep well. When I drifted off, my brain made conference rooms out of darkness. In one of them, an HR person with a soft cardigan and a hard smile said, we have to take all safety concerns seriously, and I said, me too, and realized I was defending the air. At 9:58 the next morning, the email came anyway, CC'd to an address that had my company's domain, with my boss name in it too. Sienna had written it like a community service announcement. Hi there, I'm reaching out as a concerned woman. Adam has been repeatedly contacting my partner after their breakup, and showing up at his building. I'm worried about escalation. I know you care about a safe workplace. Please advise on best practices. Happy to share screenshots. There were 4 attachments, that key drop voicemail, a photo of me in Luke's lobby holding a flattened cardboard box, a cropped screenshot of a message I'd sent Luke 2 months post-breakup that read, "I miss you," stripped of the line to bubbles up, where he'd said, "Me too," back when we were playing the stupid, familiar game of relapse we pretend is friendship. My boss, Tasha, called me into a glass meeting room 15 minutes later. Her brow had the deep groove it gets when she's focusing. "I have to ask," she said, gentle but firm. "Is any of this true? I've contacted him 3 times in 8 months, once to coordinate movers, once to drop the key, once yesterday to confirm the concierge had the box of my books. All scheduled, all mutual. I showed up nowhere uninvited. His girlfriend is spinning." "I figured," she said, "but once a complaint lands, I have to document. It's policy. Can you send your receipts, dates, times, messages?" "I already exported the thread," I said, and handed her my laptop with the messages open. "Also, his girlfriend texted me last night, threatening to email you unless I signed a no contact letter and deleted voicemails." "That's the context you aren't seeing." Tasha read the text chain, jaw tightening. "We have a harassment policy," she said. "It applies to employees and vendors. It also applies to people trying to weaponize the policy. Send me everything. I'll loop in legal." I worked the rest of the day with the focus of a diver conserving air. On my break, I got a DM from a mutual friend. "Callum, Sienna says you're stalking. Tell me it's not true." A second message arrival stacked on top. A blurry, fluorescent lit photo of me and Luke at the storage cage last week. Me holding the corner of my old, framed print, the one with the storm over the lake. Caption: "Obsessed ex refuses to move on." "Where did you get this?" I typed. "Sienna shared on her close friends list," he replied. "Said you need help. You okay?" I could feel the room in my head start to tilt. "I'm fine," I wrote, and the word looked smaller than it felt. That night, Sienna posted a long Instagram story, slides with pastel backgrounds and serif font. "When you have to protect your peace, setting boundaries is love. We don't owe our abusers silence." She never used my name. She didn't have to. The third slide was a cropped version of my key drop, voicemail transcribed as, "I'm on your street. I just need, please." She added a heart over, please, as if pleading were proof of guilt. Luke reposted with, "Proud of you." Then he posted a photo of Sienna's hand on his chest, her nails the color of wet cherries, and wrote, "Some people can't take a hint. We're happy. Move on." People medged me like I was a rumor they could check out from the library. "Is this about you? Do you need a lawyer? I always knew you were intense." Someone from the youth center, where I volunteer, replied to a shift confirmation with, "Let's pause your mentoring for a week while we review a concern." That one burned. The kid I mentor, Theo, texts me monthly poems about monsters with feelings. I sent his mother the email thread with Luke, the blackmail messages, a quick note, "I'm stepping back this week while adults behave like high school. Theo is safe with me." She wrote back, "We know. Come by for dinner sometime. We'll feed you and not ask questions." At midnight I called Jenna, and read her the stories out loud so I wouldn't feel like the words could reshuffle. When I looked away, she listened and then said, "We are going to build a wall of actual things, not vibes." Screenshots, timestamps, lobby camera, concierge log. When did you schedule? When did she post? Get friendly with the facts, not the flood. "This is ridiculous," I said, and sounded like a man trying to convince rain it's raining. "Yep," she said, "and I hate that she's good at this." "She's not good," Jenna said. "She's loud." The next day, I asked the building concierge, Marco, for a visitor log printout with my name for the last 2 months. He stared at me for a second and then said, "You're the book guy, right? The one who labels your boxes with quotes." He grinned. My favorite was, "This too shall pass, but please carry from the bottom." He printed the log without me even asking twice, and circled my entries. 7:13 p.m. resident expected, key drop. 6:58 p.m. resident in cage 1 for a moving box release. In the margin he wrote, "Staff present, MR," and signed it. I took a photo, then a second photo, then a photo with my face in the corner because suddenly I wanted to anchor everything to a person who could breathe. I emailed the building management asking for lobby camera footage around those times, to confirm a scheduled property retrieval. I CC'd Luke with the short, restrained note of a person trying not to set gas on fire. "Please inform your girlfriend to stop contacting my employer. All further communication between us should be about the storage cage, and only in writing." He replied with 2 words, "Leave us." At lunch, my phone buzzed with a voice note from a number I didn't recognize. I put in my headphones and hit play. Sienna's voice was lower, like she'd moved from performance to backstage. Last chance, Adam. You signed today. I'll tell people it was a misunderstanding. You don't, and I make sure people know what you're like when you don't get your way. I'll call it what it is, obsession. You think anyone cares about your side? I replayed it twice. The second time I felt something inside me go from shaking to still. That evening, Callum messaged me again, a different tone. Hey. Sienna asked me to send her the photos from Pride last year, where you were hugging Luke. She said she needs to document escalation. She also asked when your birthday is. Felt weird. I told her to ask you. She said, he won't. He loves playing innocent. Thought you should know. It made a different kind of sense then. How stories get built like furniture out of parts that don't belong together. A photo from a parade, a voicemail about a key, a cropped message, a rumor. All you need is the right caption. I opened notes and started a timeline. Date headings. Bulleted events. Under Wednesday, 10:04 a.m. Sienna email to HR. 10:19. Meeting with Tasha. 12:33. Lobby log printed. 1:10. Email to management Ray. Footage. 1:48. Voice note from Sienna. I wrote, blackmail, and the word looked melodramatic until I pressed play again and heard the sentence. Last chance. At 9 p.m. I forwarded everything to a lawyer Jenna found through a legal clinic. His name was Eric. He wrote back an hour later, what you have is enough to send a preservation letter, and a cease and desist for defamation and interference. Don't post. Don't engage. Tell your boss we're involved so they stop treating this like a both sides HR box to tick. What if Luke escalates? I asked him on the phone. He's already telling people I'm obsessed. Projection is boring but effective, Eric said. We counter boring with boring, evidence and calm. And we ask the building for footage in a way they can't ignore. The next morning, Jenna showed up at my place with bagels and a roll of painter's tape. We're building a wall, she said, tapping my apartment's blank white space. She ended up looking like a detective in a TV show. Except our strings were timestamps and our red pins were sticky notes that said things like, Marco witnessed, and Sienna threatened HR before any complaint. By noon, management replied with a link to a secure portal, lobby camera clips. I watched myself in grainy black and white walk in at 6:56, nod at Marco, sign a sheet, carry a single labeled box to the elevator, and leave 12 minutes later. No banging, no loitering, no pleading, just a guy retrieving his stuff. I sent the clip to Tasha and Eric with a subject line I wanted to scream but typed like a librarian, factual context Ray, showing up. Eric replied, beautiful. I thought, maybe we will be okay. Then Luke posted a screenshot on his story, my accidental call from last month, a true accident. A pocket dial on a bus that lasted 6 seconds and registered as missed. He added the caption, 6 seconds here, 6 minutes there. It never stops. Sienna followed with a close-up of a bouquet. When, no, becomes an invitation, she wrote, and people left heart images like confetti. I put my phone face down on the table and stared at the little bubble in the paint on my wall. It looked like a raindrop that had dried mid-slide. You don't have to win the internet, Jenna said, reading my face. You just have to not lose yourself. I wanted to say something wise. Instead, I said the truest thing I had. I hate this. Good, she said. It means you still know what normal feels like. At midnight, I got a final text from Sienna. This is what happens when you don't listen. Attached was a draft, community alert, about me with my photo blurred and initial A. She tagged 3 local groups in the text, my building's association, the youth center, and a neighborhood watch account known for drama. Sending tomorrow at 9. I typed back before I could talk myself out of it. Send anything, and I file a police report for attempted extortion. I have your voice note. I have the timeline. I have building footage. Last chance to stop. She replied with a single word. Try. I didn't sleep. I sat on the floor and listened to my own breathing, until it sounded like someone else's. At 8:57, my phone buzzed. Not with a post, but with an email. We have received a formal letter from your attorney, Tasha wrote. HR is closing the internal concern, pending external review. Your volunteer coordinator reached out. We forwarded the timeline. Please take today off. Document everything. I exhaled, then waited for the next wave. I am a 30-year-old man. And the morning I stopped asking to be understood, and started preparing to be believed, the sky over the city looked like printer paper that had been handled too much, soft, gray at the edges. Eric sent 2 letters at 9 a.m. sharp, one to Sienna and Luke, one to the building's management and the youth center. Preserve all communications, posts, messages, and video related to Adam. It read, cease and desist from publishing false statements suggesting criminal or harassing conduct. Further interference will be met with appropriate legal action. It was the legal version of a hand placed squarely on a table. Sienna didn't reply. Luke did, to me, not to Eric. How could you? He wrote. You always escalated. You want to make me look like a monster. I typed and erased 3 drafts before sending. Stop lying about me. Tell your girlfriend to stop contacting my employer. I have not shown up uninvited. I have not harassed you. You both know that. He wrote back. You called me last month at midnight. Accidental. 6 seconds. You know that. You replied. Lol. At the time, I wrote, and attached the screenshot. His dotted bubble appeared. Stopped. Disappeared. At 10:07, the neighborhood watch page posted the community alert with my blurred photo. The caption was milder than Sienna's draft. Someone had edited it to sound like concern, not accusation. Be aware of interpersonal conflict at address. Parties are handling it privately. The kind of vagueness that breeds certainty in people who want stories with clear villains. Eric called. How much do you want to fight? He asked. There's the legal path, painful, slow, with outcomes that look like paper. There's the social path, receipts posted, a thread that lays it all out, fast, messy, satisfying until it's not. And there's the third path, telling the right people the right things, and letting the rest starve. What's the right thing here? I asked, hating the way my voice sounded like a boy, and not like the man I was trying to be. Truth, bored, he said. Send the timeline to people who owe you care. Your boss, the youth center, the building. Don't feed the sharks. I sent the timeline. Tasha wrote back, HR closed. Your record is clean. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. The youth center director called and said, Theo misses you. Come back next week. The building manager replied with the politest sentence, a bureaucracy can produce. We have added a note to your file confirming scheduled, staff witnessed visits. I wanted to run around the block. Instead, I made a sandwich and couldn't taste it. At noon, Callum asked if I could meet him and a few mutuals at a cafe. People are confused, he said. Come explain. I didn't want to audition for my life in public, but I also didn't want to cede the field to Sienna's pastel slides. I went. The cafe had the hopeful plants and wobbly tables of places that were built for laptops, not longevity. For people sat there, Callum, our friend Priya, who has a brain that sorts everything, a couple I'd known through Luke, who looked like they wanted to be anywhere else. Just tell us, Callum said, hands flat on the table. Are you okay? I took out my folder like a magician and hated myself for it. I laid out the concierge log, the email from management, a printout of Sienna's voice note transcript, the clip still from the lobby camera with the timestamp. Priya leaned forward, reading fast, the way she does with contracts at work. This is clear, she said. This is not obsession. This is someone deciding to control a narrative because the truth is less flattering. The couple glanced at each other, relief passing between them like a small bird. She told us you were texting at all hours, the woman said. She showed a screenshot of, I miss you. She didn't show the, me too, I said, and slid the full thread across. Oh, the guy said softly. I didn't name Sienna as a blackmailer. I didn't say, extortion. I said, she asked me to sign a letter and delete voicemails, or she'd email my boss. Then she emailed my boss. I'm not here to shame her. I'm here because I refuse to carry this alone. I'm sorry, the woman said. We believe the story that fit the feed. Tell people what you saw, Priya told her. Kind but sharp, not gossip. Facts. On the walk home, a message pinged from a number labeled, unknown, maybe, Luke. It was a voice note. I put it to my ear, and heard Luke's breath. Then his voice, small in a way I'd never heard it. I didn't ask her to email your job, he said. I said I wanted peace. She said this was the only way to make you stop. He paused. I should have said no. Another pause. She told me it wasn't blackmail because she wasn't asking for money. I hit play again and wrote the words down. It wasn't an apology. It was a crack. At 2 p.m., my building manager emailed, we've had an influx of safety messages regarding you, all from accounts connected to Ms. Sienna. Please provide your attorney's contact. It was a bureaucratic way of asking, are we being used? I forwarded to Eric. He wrote back, good. They're noticing the pattern. Keep everything. That evening, Sienna posted a story from a salon chair, foils in her hair, writing, self-care after having to do the hard thing for my safety. Luke posted a selfie at the gym with the caption, rise above. It would have been ridiculous if it weren't working. People liked experiences more than evidence. At 10 p.m. my phone lit with a new unknown number. Hi. You don't know me. I dated Luke 3 years ago. Sienna messaged me last week asking for any stories that make you look unstable. She offered to cover a spa day if I had something useful. I blocked her. Then I saw your name on the neighborhood page and felt sick. If you need a statement, I'll write one. I stared at the screen until my eyes hurt. I sent the messages to Eric and Jenna. Jenna replied with, "Spa day," and then, "I'm glad other people's spines are waking up." The next morning, Eric forwarded me the reply from Sienna's counsel. It had the smooth menace of a letter written by someone who liked the taste of their own adjectives. "Our client denies any intent to defame," it said. "She sought guidance from the community after experiencing unwanted contact. She will not be intimidated by baseless legal threats." Classic, Eric said on the phone. "They're trying to frame this as you silencing a woman. We're not going to play that game. We stick to what can be shown." What can be shown? The voice note, the HR emails, the concierge log, the lobby footage, the outreach to your volunteer organization, the messages to mutuals asking for stories with incentives, and, crucially, the pattern of posts timed to pressure you, including the 9 a.m. threat. "Will that be enough?" "Enough for what?" he said. "To get a court order. Maybe. To flip the people who can be flipped. Likely. To make the internet apologize. Never. Lower the right expectations." He suggested filing a police report to formalize the record. I didn't want the theater of it. I wanted a line in a database that said, "This happened, so I went." The officer at the desk listened, wrote, said, "We can't do much unless money changes hands, or there's a direct threat. But you did the right thing. Get a case number." He handed me a slip with numbers that felt both heavy and irrelevant. On my way out, my phone buzzed. A text from Thea's mom. "Spaghetti at 7. We made extra." I went. "Theo, read me a new monster poem in which the monster learned to say, 'That's not true,' without shouting." I watched him and thought, okay, maybe the work of my life is this tone. That night, Priya called. "I spoke with Sienna," she said. "She thinks she's protecting him and therefore herself. She believes the best defense is a public offense." She kept using phrases like, "controlling the story." I asked if she had any evidence beyond a cropped voicemail. She said, "He's intense. That's enough." I told her it wasn't. She hung up. The following afternoon, a miracle I hadn't dared to script happened. Luke managed a group chat with mutuals, including Priya and Callum, and posted a paragraph. "I want to correct something," he wrote. "Adam did not harass me. He came by twice by arrangement. I should have told Sienna not to involve his workplace. I didn't. That was wrong. Please stop messaging the building and the youth center. I want this to end. He didn't tag me. He didn't apologize to me. But the sentence, that was wrong, sat there like a piece of furniture that didn't match anything else and demanded rearrangement." Callum screenshotted and sent it to me with 17 exclamation marks. Then, "Sorry and proud of him and mostly sorry for you." I forwarded the screenshot to Tasha, the building, the youth center. The director wrote back a single word, "Good." It read like the sigh of a person who had been waiting to unclench. Sienna, in response, posted a black and white quote card. "Sometimes the people who hurt you will paint themselves as the victim." She followed with, "I have receipts too." Then nothing. An influencer's tornado, noise. Then a sunny day like it never happened. "She's not going to admit anything," Jenna said, leaning against my counter, watching me try to decide if I could eat toast. "She can't. Her whole self-image is a courtroom where she's always the brave witness." "I don't need her confession," I said, and surprised myself by meaning it. I needed the bleeding to stop. "So, what now?" she asked. "Now I go back to work," I said. "I take Theo to the museum. I learned to let some people be wrong about me forever." We did small things that felt like stitches. I met Theo at the museum and we stood too long in front of a painting of a house on fire, where the flames looked like flowers. "Is it beautiful or scary?" he asked. "Yes," I said, and he grinned. I sent Tasha my weekly update with bullet points, and zero mention of the storm. I answered a DM from the woman who used to date Luke, and thanked her for offering a statement. She sent a screenshot of Sienna's spa day message and said, "Use it if you need." I'm done being quiet. Eric filed a formal notice with the platform hosting the neighborhood page attaching the police report number and the timeline. The post came down with a bland automated note. The hole it left in my stomach surprised me, a space vacated by dread. One evening, on my way back from the store, I saw Luke across the street. We did the awkward almost wave. He crossed over. Up close, he looked tired in the way people look when they have been sleeping through alarms. "Hey," he said. "Hey. Thank you for not destroying me," he said. Like it tasted wrong and right at the same time. "I didn't do this to hurt you," I said. "I did it to stop being hurt." He nodded, stared at a point over my shoulder. "She says you made her do it." People love that sentence when they're holding a match, I said. "She's not a bad person," he said. "I didn't say she was," I said. "I said she did a bad thing." He nodded again and then said something small that I tucked away. "I'm sorry. It wasn't everything. It was enough to walk home without feeling like the sidewalk might tip." Weeks passed. The algorithm found a new scandal. Sienna pivoted back to outfit posts, and 5 ways to reset. People unfollowed me quietly, or managed to say, "We believed you. Sorry it took proof." I saved those messages in a folder called, "When My Brain Lies to Me." I didn't post a thread, a notes app manifesto, a public takedown. I posted a photo of the lake print on my wall, and wrote, "Back where it belongs." A few likes, a few green hearts. Enough. Sometimes at night I replay her voice note in my head, and hear the word, "last chance," and feel that cold hot in my chest, and want to call it what it was, blackmail. Sometimes I argue with an empty room and win. Then I make tea, text Jenna a meme about raccoons with briefcases, and choose to use my voice for things that won't make me into a person I don't recognize. The youth center asked me to run a workshop on digital storms. I wrote on the whiteboard, things I can control, things I can't. Under the first column, my receipts, who I tell, my tone. Under the second, what they post, who believes a story that fits their fear. The weather. A kid raised her hand and said, "What do you do when someone calls you obsessed?" I say, "No," I said, and then I stop feeding their definition. Later that day, I opened the box I'd gotten from Luke's storage cage. On top were the paperbacks we used to read in bed, when silence was easy. Underneath was the lake print. At the bottom was a Polaroid I didn't know I still had. Me and Luke laughing so hard the photo blurred, a thumb over the lens. I put it back in the box, and slid the box under my bed. Not to hide it, to keep it from being a prop. When people ask me what happened, I say, my ex-new girlfriend tried to blackmail me. He told everyone I was obsessed. I built a wall of boring truth, and waited out the storm. Some people still think the rain means I brought a cloud. I let them. The people who matter saw the footage, read the log, heard the note, and stayed. At night, I write one line in a notebook Jenna bought me, a sentence that belongs only to me. Yesterday's line, "You can't outshout a rumor, but you can outlast it." Tonight's line is shorter. It is the answer I give to the old story, when it knocks with a pastel slide, and a caption shaped like a hand around my throat. No. Follow me for more stories.